Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, your go-to podcast for all things green and growing. I'm Ben, your allotment guide, and here to help you cultivate your garden and your passion for plants. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting out, this podcast is for you. Each episode will dig into tips, tricks and techniques to make your garden and allotment thrive. From planting, sowing and growing, we will share all the tips and advice. We will also have regular episodes talking about what we have been up to on the allotment. So sit back, grab a brew and enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome back to Gardening with Ben for a brand new episode today here on Thursday. Well, it's my last day of working and then I've got 4 days off. So you'll be getting podcasts talking all about what I've been getting up to down at the allotment again. Some of you may enjoy that, or some of you may enjoy these different sorts of podcasts that we've been doing this week. Now, we've been talking about all the different topics regarding what I've been posting on my Instagram and my Facebook, different questions and different tips and advice each and every single day. It's something new that I've been trying over the past week, and it seems to be taking a good reaction from my followers and from my listeners, as well as we're getting more and more people getting involved in them daily tips and advice. So thank you for all those that are contributing, as it does help build a podcast as well. Different questions each day. We can talk about the different topics that have come up. Now, yesterday's daily tip, what we talked about was talking about what's the best piece of gardening advice and tips that you have ever been given. And I've learned quite a few tips and advice from this post, as well as obviously I shared my tip yesterday talking about putting the plastic bottles over the sweet corn, which quite a few people have acknowledged and liked it. So thank you for those that have done. And I hope that you find it useful for when you're growing sweet corn as well. And let's go through each of the tips that people have responded to on my Instagram post, as it's good to talk over them and see what people have been told and how well it works as well. So first off, one of the tips was enjoy it and take your time. Now, this is one tip that I do live by. And like I say, I've had my plot going on 20 years in total. And it's a big size plot for one person, definitely. And it's took me around 20 years just to get to the top of my plot, to the boundary. And you might think 20 years to get to the top. But yeah, 20 years it's taken me to get to the allotment top. I've just been working a bit every single year and getting a bit further, doing improvements to certain areas and working on different pieces every single year. And I like to try and spend a bit of money on a certain area and like improve it and make it better, so that it's a bit less maintenance for me as well. So I like to try and improve it a bit every single year. And that's one of my winter projects, what I usually do. I usually concentrate on a certain area and improve it and make it look better. Now we had a lot of winter projects this year, trust me. I spent so much time and quite a lot of money on doing certain improvements down at my plot, and some of the improvements were not that necessarily, but I'm happy with what I've done and how I've improved it. Like, one of my main projects was rebuilding my shed because my shed had collapsed, so I'd got nowhere to grow all my seeds. So that was the main big project, what I did with my dad, and he gave me a massive helping hand with it. He did most of it, and I'm so thankful for him for what he's done for that. And what else I've did up was around my rhubarb. My rhubarb bed's been in like 15, 16 years now. And this year I mulched all around it, which I've never had mulch down on it. So I mulched it all, made that look better. I also built a seating area so that I can actually sit down, relax and enjoy it. And I know you think, well, you've not got much time to relax and enjoy it, but I am finding time to actually sit down and enjoy it. And I have a drink my coffee on my seat and look at it all and think, wow, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with how it's all gone on. So take your time and enjoy what you do. Another comment was, tomato feed works for everything, said my mum. Works for me, no faffing around trying to decide which one to use. It's generally cheaper and leaves me more in the kitty for the best rose feed, from David Austin Roses. So yeah, try different feeds. Whichever feed works best for you. Tomato feed has got a lot of nutrition in it, and obviously it works well for this follower, and it's a good tip to go by. And obviously I use it on my cucumbers, I use it on my tomatoes, on my pumpkins, on my courgettes, so you can pretty much use it for a lot of things, and it all gets going well and it all helps. So yeah, if you find a product that you like, try it and see if it does work on everything. Obviously you're risking it if like it doesn't work on it, but if you go by the instructions of how much to use per millimeters of water, etc., you won't go wrong. So that I've learned a tip for that. So yeah, I'm going to start using tomato feed on a lot of stuff now, as I've been using chicken pellets mainly, and I've been using bone meal, and that seems to be working well at the moment. My sweet corn are growing fantastic, but for that liquid feed, I might try using some tomato food on them. So thank you for that tip that was submitted. Also, somebody said, look after the soil instead of feeding your plants. Obviously, the nutrition in the soil feeds your plants, so that's a good one as well. So why not look after it and put the food back into the soil to feed the plants, as it's the soil what's used literally to feed the plants. So yeah, looking after the soil instead of feeding your plants. Another comment is, fill the planting hole with water a minute before planting. Those roots will establish while they search for a drink. So if you're planting out, make sure you fill it with water first, and then the plant's roots will find that water and they will establish a lot faster and a lot quicker. So that's another good tip there. So yeah, I'm learning. Like I always say, gardening, you are always learning every single day. And the tips and advice what people give me, I always take it on board. I learn new stuff every single day, and I'm so glad I posted this on my Instagram because people are sharing so many great tips with me. So thank you for everybody that has got involved. Another one is by somebody new that started following me and listening to my podcasts. This is my life. This is my village life, and she's loving the podcasts. And if you're listening, hello to you. This is my village life. Thank you for being a great supporter. And this comment is, to give everything a go. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So yeah, putting all you've nothing to lose. Yes, it might be a few pence from sowing the seeds and they don't germinate or something like that, but it's all trial and error. It's all about having fun and having a laugh at the end of the day. Yes, you get produce from it. Yes, you get great, delicious fruit and vegetables from it, but you've got nothing to lose at the end of the day. It's all about having fun and enjoying it. And this is why I'm enjoying trying all these cuttings out, what I'm doing, because it's all trial and error. And if they don't grow, they don't grow. I've not lost anything. I've just given my plant a haircut by trimming it down to take the cuttings. So yeah, you've nothing to lose with gardening. Another comment which I'm going to try is to use plastic bottles to water your tomatoes, pumpkins, etc. Plant them as close to the roots as you can. It saves water in the long run. So basically, plant a water bottle at the side of your vegetable or your tomatoes or something like that. Put some holes, obviously, in the bottle top so that the water can drip out, and make the holes as big as how fast you want it to drip out or not. Obviously, the smaller hole, it'll take longer to drip out, so it'll last longer. And obviously, you can fill them up with food as well if you're feeding them for a few days. You can put a tiny bit of food in as well to give it that extra kick and that extra boost, and it'll feed it straight to the roots as well. You won't lose none of that special nutrition that you're trying to put into the soil. So another good tip there from Heidi. to grow what you like to eat. First allotment year, grew loads of broad beans and was so proud, but none of us liked them. Who's done that? Who's grown stuff that they don't actually like? We've done that. We've grown radishes, we've grown gooseberries, we've grown Brussels sprouts, and nobody actually likes them. But the joy of doing that is that you can give it away, and people will enjoy receiving them, and they will certainly become your best friends straight away from all the fresh produce that you're giving them. So yeah, I do love that people have been sharing these tips with me. I've learned a lot from it, and I hope you've learned a lot from it. It's good to get people's advice, and passing tips from one another is amazing because you're passing it down to different generations. When I first got onto my allotment site, there was one person left on the allotment site, and it had all become derelict around him before the council did it all up and got it all back up and going again. And he'd been on there keeping that allotment site open and running, and all the weeds were growing around him and everything, but his allotment was pristine. He taught me so much, and he used to go down to his allotment and he used to hoe his beds every single day. He'd not got a single weed on it. And from hoeing it every single day, nothing will grow because you're doing it every day. And yeah, it might only be of 10 to 15 minutes just going around hoeing every single bed. But in the long run, it's a lot faster because no weeds have taken root. You're not spending time getting all them weeds out. If you keep on top of it, you will beat the weeds and the weeds won't win. You will win the battle in the weeds. So that is one fantastic tip that I learned from him as well. So what was the daily tip that we put on the allotment today, on the Instagram today? The daily tip of the day, what we put on yesterday, actually, not today, because I'm pre-recording this, is start planning for autumn planting and order seeds. Exactly. Start looking at what seeds you can grow for next year. And now is about the time, around this month, next month, to start planting potatoes for Christmas. So have a look at my podcast where I was talking about what seeds you can plant this month, and have a look, write down a list of all the seeds that you can start this month. There's plenty on there that you can actually keep growing up until this year and ready for next year. So have a look at that podcast. It's only quite a few episodes back. It's not far back. It's beginning of July. So have a look at that podcast and have a listen at what seeds and stuff you can start this month. But yes, if you are wanting Christmas potatoes, have a look around, see if you can order some online. Amazon sometimes have them, or potato shops online, stuff like that, garden centres online. You won't find them in the actual garden centres or in any do-it-yourself shops, but you will find them online if you are wanting to grow seed potatoes. Now, I'm just going to grow normal potatoes from the supermarket. Yes, you do hear a lot of stuff online saying you shouldn't grow normal potatoes because they've been treated and stuff like that, and it can spread diseases. But my dad's done it many a years, and we've had fantastic potatoes from them. So I'm going to get a pack of new potatoes from the supermarket. I'm going to plant them in some of the boxes that I've just harvested all my earlies from, so that I can start them off outside while it's meant to be warm. It's not warm, it's horrible, it's raining, but you can start them off outside in boxes. Don't start them off in the ground if you're wanting Christmas potatoes. Start them off in boxes. When the first frost starts to appear, you need to take them inside before that happens. So possibly like beginning of October, middle of October, take them inside a polytunnel, inside a greenhouse, somewhere where there's plenty of light, and grow them in there. If you leave them outside, the frost will kill them. But if you move them inside into a polytunnel or into a greenhouse, they will be protected, and you will be able to harvest potatoes for Christmas Day, for your Christmas meal, and they'll taste absolutely delicious. And potatoes are easy to grow. You might not get loads in your tubs and stuff like that, but they will be homegrown and they'll taste a lot more nicer than shop bought ones. Yes, you may have started them from shop bought ones, but they'll still taste as nice as homegrown ones. from seed potato. So if you've never tried growing potatoes at this time of year for Christmas, give it a try. Let me know if you're going to try it. I'll love to hear from you all. I'm going to start mine probably about 2 or 3 weeks. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I'll post it on my Instagram and on my Facebook. So make sure you do follow my socials, Gardening with Ben. And I just want to say as well, thank you for everybody that is getting involved in my Instagram posts and asking the daily questions and the tips. But if you do get a chance, please do share them to your stories. I'm trying to get them out there as much as possible to help as many people as possible in growing their own and encouraging everybody to get involved as well. So that's been today's podcast. Hopefully tomorrow's podcast we'll be talking about what we've been up to at the allotment and telling you what's growing and what's not growing. I'm an open and honest gardener, and I had a message today saying that I like how you are not posh, you're down to earth, and you speak it how it is, literally. And that's what I want to do. I'm not one of these gardeners that'll use all the posh words and all the technical terms and everything like that. I'll say it how it is because that's how I am. That's how I want to know these things. I wouldn't know all the Latin names and everything like that. But yeah, I'm glad that I'm getting comments like that because that's how I want to come across to everyone. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure you do give it a like, give it a comment as well if you can, and make sure you follow me if you're not already following me, and click the bell so you get notified when new podcasts come up. So until next time, everyone, remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Gardening with Ben. I hope you have found some useful tips and inspiration for your own gardening and allotment journey. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a new episode. And if you have a moment, I'd love for you to leave a review and share the podcast with fellow gardening enthusiasts. Your support helps us grow this community and continue bringing you great content. You can also follow us on social media on every platform called Gardening with Ben for daily gardening tips and updates. Happy gardening, and until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with